like, I suppose I could talk about this current thing with Gen X. Gen X was supposedly having a beef online with Gen Zers, which I think is kind of funny. I think it's just people having fun. Seems a little odd to me. But I do have to say that being Gen X myself, what the hell was that? Wow. Almost ran into a canister. Might be a good canister, but I don't have a plastic canister on the highway. Don't want that fucking up my car. But anyways, being Gen X myself, one thing I find really ironic, oh damn, these people are driving like maniacs. One thing I find ironic is just how it seems to be the thing nowadays for Gen Xers and others to criticize the younger millennials and the Gen Zers for being snowflakes and losers and all this and that, needing safe spaces and being irresponsible and lazy and all that. Whenever I hear that, I do think, well, the irony of the Gen X, my generation, complaining about that when in fact most of those Gen Zers, and now the Alphas, as well as the younger millennials, are the kids of the Gen Xers. So whose fault is it, if the Gen Xers or the Gen Zers and the youngest millennials and the Alpha generation being born now, whose fault is it, since those are the children of the Gen X generation, whose fault is it that those kids are turning out and have turned out the way they have and the way they are now? It's obviously Gen X's fault. So I just find it really ironic when people, in my generation, complain about how the younger generations are coming up and what they've turned out to be like, when it was the responsibility of those people complaining. It's like, you're the ones who raised them. So what's that say about you as parents? I mean, seriously, what does that say about you Gen Xers as the parents of the very people that you're complaining about being snowflakes and weak and lazy and irresponsible and all that, when you're the people who gave birth to them and were responsible for raising them? It's your fault. That's a result of your parenting or lack thereof. So really, when you complain about that, you're just basically advertising to the world about how much you sucked as a parent and how irresponsible you were, and that you didn't do your job as a parent. And not all Gen Zers and younger millennials are like the stereotype of the weak, screwed up, irresponsible, lazy, backward, safe space needing snowflakes, who are entitled, selfish, narcissistic, and out here doing the SJW crap, protesting everything and rioting and doing all this other stuff. certainly not all Gen Zers and younger millennials are like that. And I say younger millennials because most of the older millennials are actually the children of the baby boomers who were my parents' generation. You know, we Gen Xers are the children of the baby boomers. And while, yeah, there is a lot of blame to go around for the baby boomers, you know, as being responsible for the way things are nowadays, at some point, we have to admit that we, as Gen X, we also carry quite a bit of the blame of the way things are nowadays. So, while it's true, a lot of Gen Zers and the younger millennials are weak, entitled, narcissistic, selfish and spoiled and all that kind of stuff. Not all of them are. And a lot of the blame does go to my generation, the Gen Xers, who just basically did a piss poor job raising their kids. Now my children are Alpha generation, and they will not act like that. Not as long as I'm around to have any say about it. Because that is just, it's like, no, you're not going to be, you know, whining and crying about safe spaces, and you're not going to be, you know, just this nonsense. But a lot of the reason why the Gen Zers and the younger millennials are the way they are is because their Gen X parents basically sloughed off their responsibility to raise those kids onto the public school system as basically a daycare, and also the internet and TV. Instead of parenting their kids, what do? You know, slough off that responsibility onto the public school by dropping them off, and then when they weren't at school, you know, basically turn the TV and the iPad and all that, and now smartphones and, you know, video games and all that into their surrogate parents. So that is why they now have the values which they have been taught by the mainstream media and the public school system, which, as we know, is ultra liberal, ultra leftist, and has been taken over by the Marxists, you know, with their identity politics and all that kind of stuff. And that's why they are the way they are now, is because you Gen Xers did not raise your kids. You passed that responsibility off to the state and the media. And that's why they are the way they are now. See, I'm about here at the fitness club. But it's your fault. So next time you want to bitch and complain about Gen Zers and your young millennial children, being the way they are, look in the mirror, because it's your fault. So I guess that's all. But I may or may not post this video. I don't know. But this will be my start, like, as a YouTuber.
K-band.
And hasta.